Scotland. If you've been following my series on its bloody birth, then after a difficult pregnancy, finally, today the baby arrives. We're possibly the most consequential king in the development of Scotland. And most folks don't even know his name. Go on, have a guess in the comments below. And if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. And if you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up, share it, and watch the next one. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. In this series, I've been bringing you to the throne room in Scone Palace to take what I've learned from Alex Wolf's academic book From Pictland to Alba and break it down into 7 stories. And today, we're going to focus on a guy called Constantine. Now, you're thinking, Bruce, you told us about Constantine a couple of videos back. And I did. But that was this guy's uncle, Constantine I. Constantine I and his brother Aed were sons of Kenneth MacAlpin. Both had fought the Norsemen, and both had died in blood. Both also had sons who we think fled to Ireland as the Pictish kingdom was crumbling. And it's those wee laddies that we're going to talk about today. Donald, son of Constantine I, and Constantine, son of Aed, were back from Ireland. And the 2 guys we suspected of killing Daddy Aed have disappeared. Now, these 2 young men wouldn't have just crossed the Irish Sea in a boat, turned up at Scone and said, "We're back." There must have been some clandestine meetings, emissaries going back and forward, testing the water with the great men of the kingdom. How has King Giric been running things? I bet he's not like our granddad. Wouldn't you rather have the grandsons of Kenneth MacAlpin back? We didn't say much about the Norsemen during Giric's time. Now, the Norsemen hadn't got out of the raping and pillaging game. I don't know how Giric stood up to them, or why folks wanted the MacAlpins back. Either way, the MacAlpins were back. All hail Donald I! By this time, the Norse had settled and controlled Northumbria across the Forth to the south. To the west, they controlled the Hebrides and Dublin across the Irish Sea, and no doubt held sway in the north, in what we call Sutherland today. Patching together what historians have said, Donald, son of Constantine, didn't have long to wait for fisticuffs with these Norse. They'd fallen out amongst themselves in Dublin, and Donald ended up fighting some of them in Argyll. But bigger battles were to come. We're told that yet again the Northmen wasted Pictavia. Now, I told you that the last time the Anglo-Saxon chronicles mentioned Pictland was when Donald's dad, Constantine, was killed. That the Irish stopped saying Pictland on the death of his brother, Aed. This account of the wasting of Pictavia, Latin for Pictland, is the final reference to Pictavia in the Chronicle of the Kings of Alba. If there had been any doubt that Pictland was dead, there's none now. But it's not only Pictland that's dead. Donald, facing the north threat like his father before him, having held the kingdom for 11 years, was killed fighting Norsemen at Dunnottar. And when Donald's death is recorded in 900 AD, it's recorded for the first time as the death of a king of Alba. This is Scotland. Okay, so I say this is Scotland, but obviously it's not the geography of Scotland today. Donald's killed by Norse at Dunnottar by Stonehaven, and we've got sparse information about what's going on north of that spine of mountains called the Mount that sticks out from the west. Was that the limit of Scotland at that time? Which brings me to a second point. It was called Alba. It's still called Alba in Gaelic today. But here's the thing. Until that point, these Irish Gaels called the whole island of Great Britain Alba. So how does the name for the entire island become the name of what will be Scotland? What do you think of in colloquial English when you hear America? Is it the continent of America? Or one bit of that continent that's a country that we informally call America? So Gaelic speakers in Ireland might have distilled the island of Alba into that bit of the island that spoke their language. The people who'd become like them. You know, the important bit. Well, now, that important bit had a name. And for the first time, that name was used to tell us that the king of that important bit was dead. So what next?
Just before I tell you what happened next, let me remind you of what's happening in April 2027. I'm telling these stories of how Scotland was born in the places where things happen. I'll bring you here to Scone, but I'll also take you to our first spiritual home at Iona, where these kings were buried. I'll take you to Dunkeld, the first spiritual home of the unified kingdom, to St Andrews, where that centre moved to. I'll tell you the tales, we'll visit the places, you'll meet fantastic people and enjoy great hotels. I can't wait. I planned this tour specifically for you. Click the link top right or in the description below for details, or email alexis@scotlandhistorytours.co.uk.
So Constantine's cousin Donald is dead, killed in blood, just like his dad before him, and just like Constantine's dad as well. It was a dangerous game being a king. Cousin Donald had just met his end, and now the Norsemen were wasting the land once more. Was Constantine going to step forward into the hot seat? And if he did, would he soon die? And what kind of king would he be? Constantine II became king in 900 AD. The pillaging Norsemen would care little that the power had passed from one grandson of Kenneth MacAlpin to another. They just got on with their pillaging. And then a couple of years later, things got worse. You see, the North were still up to their old shenanigans. But over in Dublin, the Irish had made a comeback. The Annals of Ulster tell us the heathens were driven from Ireland by Melfina, son of Flanagan, with the men of Brega, and by Kerbal, son of Murakan, with the Leinstermen. And they abandoned a good number of their ships and escaped half dead after they'd been wounded and broken. Sounds like a right kicking. Now, wee bit of advice to any Scandinavians watching this. If you've just had a right kicking from a bunch of Irish blokes and somebody suggests a solution is to noise up a bunch of Scottish blokes, you might just want to change your advisors. It seems that some Norsemen may have headed over to Scotland. However challenging Constantine II's first 2 years had been, we're told that by his third year, the Northmen plundered Dunkeld and all Albania. See how they're not talking about Pictland anymore? Then, something happened. I'm going to give you a theory, and then I'll explain why. Constantine brought a divided nation together. For decades, Norsemen had been pillaging almost at will. Oh aye, there had been occasional small victories. Some had resisted, but normally these guys died at the hands of Norsemen. Or worse still, by their own kinsmen. Over the next winter, they prepared to do something different. In the following summer, warriors from north and south of the Mounts came together and finally won a decisive victory over the Northmen in Strathearn, the very place where Kenneth MacAlpin had established his palace. And finally, led by Constantine, they defeated the Norsemen. Things were going to be different. Okay, so I said I'd explain my theory. Across the Irish Sea, the Annals of Ulster say that Norseman called Eimar, grandson of Eimar, was slain by the men of Fortrue. That's our guys in the north. And there was a great slaughter about him. And the Chronicles of the Kings of Alba tell us that the Northmen were slain in Strath-Earn. It also tells us that within a couple of years of that kicking that they gave the Norsemen, Constantine and Bishop Kellich pledged to keep the laws and disciplines of the faith and the rites of the church and the Gospels in the style of the Scots on the Hill of Belief next to the royal centre at Scone. From that day, the hill earned its name, that is, the Hill of Belief. This is the Hill of Belief! So what's happened out there? First, you need to know that the men of Fortrue mentioned here were from beyond that mountain barrier that spread across Perthshire to Angus called the Mount. But Strath-Earn is where Kenneth MacAlpins set up his palace near here, south of the Mount. Now, we haven't heard much of the powerful northern Pictish kingdom of Fortrue. All the stuff that we've talked about focuses on Perthshire up to Dunnottar. Now these northerners are fighting in the south, united under a southern king. Feels like a bit of a shift. They defeated a prominent Norse leader and left slaughter around him. Have you not been waiting for something like this? It's also the last time that we hear talk of Fortrue north of the Mount. It took north and south pulling together to face down Norsemen who had been pillaging Alba. Then, within a couple of years, Constantine and that bishop called Kellich came together here at Scone in a unique ceremony that brought the king, whose predecessors had been called kings of Picts, and the Church of the Gaels together. Now, if you watched the last episode where the Alpin family had been temporarily ousted by a guy called Giric, this Bishop Kellich had been appointed by Giric. And that guy Giric had ousted Constantine's uncle Aed and thrown off the shackles of the Pictish Church. It's like this ceremony held here on this spot within a couple of years of defeating the Norsemen was a ceremony that announced that we're coming together. There's no longer north and south of the Mount. There's no Picts. There's no Scots. There's just Alba and kings of Alba. This is Scotland. Agus sé fair Alba a hanum. Now, I'm going to make a whole video about the ceremony that started here, so I'm not going to dwell on it just now, other than to say that for me, this is where Scotland started. And this is where Scotland started. And I don't care whether you're watching this as a tourist planning to visit or a Scot. This is a place that you should come and stand with reverence. Constantine II did. And things were never the same again. With hindsight, this was a turning point. They couldn't have known at the time that Constantine would go on to be one of the longest reigning Scottish monarchs. They couldn't have known that the kingdom of Alba, the proto-nation state Constantine was creating, and the proto-nation state Athelstan was creating to the south, would come to have such a rich, entangled history. He couldn't have known that those two kingdoms would shortly be in a battle that for decades would be known simply as the Great Battle, and that battles between these two kingdoms would continue for centuries. He couldn't have known that these two kingdoms would eventually merge and rule great swathes of the world that he never even knew existed. They couldn't have known all that, but they must have felt something had changed. 12 years later, the annals tell us that Constantine II was fighting Norsemen again, but not to desperately defend the wasted remnants of the kingdom his granddad saved. He's doing it because a Northumbrian king called Eldred was expelled by Norsemen. Where did Eldred flee for help? But north to Constantine in Scotia. That's the Latin for Alba. Scotia. Constantine and his kingdom are now much bigger boys in the playground. But before long, the playground was going to see another big battle. Brunanburg. I told you Aethelstan was building what would become England at around the same time that Constantine was building Scotland. Well, shortly after. It's great to be first. As Aethelstan spread power and influence north, he became a threat not only to the Norsemen of Dublin and the Britons of Strathclyde, but Aethelstan had already invaded Alba. So Constantine, Olaf Guthrason of Dublin, and Owain ap Dyfnwal, King of Strathclyde, met the forces of Aethelstan at the Battle of Brunanburg on the Wirral in 937 AD. Now, if I was English, and I'm no, I'd see this as the defining battle in my nation's history. Not Agincourt, not Crécy, Brunanburg. It saw England clash with Scotland and its allies. It left thousands upon thousands dead, and the result was that the Scots, the Britons and the Norse retreated to lick their wounds. But English expansion was halted, at least for now. But if I was an Englishman looking for an origin battle, this would be it. Constantine II saw his son fall in that battle. That's how old he was now. But Constantine himself, the great fighter, survived Brunanburg and retreated north. 2 years later, Aethelstan died. As North retook Northumbria, it would be a while before England rose to the same heights again. Constantine II took a broken kingdom where the Norse could pillage at will. He brought people together, turned things round, defeated those Norse invaders, consolidated a unified kingdom at the Hill of Belief in Scone, gave birth to Scotland and expanded its influence south. And he'd now outlived the threat posed by Aethelstan's expansionist England. 4 years after Aethelstan's death, Constantine, now an old man, must have looked back on a job well done. It was time to retire. He passed over kingship of Alba to the hands of his nephew Malcolm, and Constantine took up the staff of the church and became a monk at St Andrews. That's where he spent the last 10 years of his life, having created the greatest little country in the world. Quite some achievement, eh? Whilst the narrative of this series of the bloody birth of Scotland's now come to an end, there are 2 more videos in the series. One taking a deeper look at that unique ceremony that happened here at Scone, and one about how maybe it was the church that made Scotland. They're available to my Patreon members right now, along with other extras, so why not join up as a member? When it's released, then a link to that video about the ceremony that explains Scotland will come up on screen now. Until then, there will be a video on how Scotland withstood Rome. If you enjoyed this video, then hype it, share it, and watch the next one. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member, or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, ha mé an dóchas gún bí lá málaigh. Sherry and Rasta.